We reserve a few minutes Sunday morning to suggest news or trends that seem to be predicted by a literal futurist reading of the Bible. We're careful to use recognized, reliable sources for the news. There's a lot of sensationalism surrounding unfulfilled Bible prophecy, and we certainly don't want to add to that because it only detracts from what the Lord is saying. We're not saying the things we report are definite fulfillments of prophecy, only that they're the things that you would expect if you're reading your Bible and then seeing what's happening out in the world. Bible futurists have long understood that in the last days and then going into the Great Tribulation, there would be a global system of personal identification. It involves what the Apostle John described as a mark on the hand or forehead. It sounds a lot like what we would call biometrics. That's defined as physical or behavioral human characteristics that can be used to digitally identify a person to grant access to systems, devices, data, or goods. 3.5 years into the tribulation, the man the Revelation calls the beast will demand everyone swear allegiance to him. Since everyone is identified by and linked to that system, refusal will mean being cut off from society altogether. You won't be able to buy or sell anything even. By the way, I always like to remind people, because there's a lot of criticism now about end time stuff, even though everything is so obvious. Somebody sooner or later is going to tell you that the name Antichrist, here's what they're going to do. They're going to say, how many times does the name Antichrist appear in the Revelation? You're going to say, I don't know, probably a bunch. They're going to say, none, not one. Oh. The guy that we call the Antichrist has 30 some odd names in the Bible. He's an important character. And in the Revelation, he's called the beast because of his activity. So don't be stressed out. And so this is what the Bible predicted, an end times where there would be a global economy, global identification, so much so that one man could push a button and cut you off permanently. COVID-19 is pushing the world population towards a global digital biometric system. I'm not talking about COVID-19 itself, whether it is, how serious it is, whether you should wear masks, nothing like that. I'm not saying it's a government conspiracy or a satanic conspiracy. But the fact is, this pandemic is pushing us towards a global digital biometric system. And it is just the kind of system futurists have been predicting since the Apostle John wrote the Revelation 2,000 years ago. I'm just going to read a few headlines and then a brief summary from the website biometricupdate.com. BrainWorks and Gibraltar Technologies develop biometric apps to support COVID-19 recovery. And here's a little bit of that. BrainWorks has launched an application with ambient biometrics and artificial intelligence capabilities to detect COVID-19 symptoms. By the way, just on a personal level, artificial intelligence, always bad in the movies. They always take over, whether it's Terminator or anything. It's a famous kind of a thing, and so don't be messing around with that. Headline, facial recognition, temperature scanning, wearables, and voice biometrics deployed for COVID-19 spread prevention. Facial recognition and temperature checking systems have been implemented by a hospital in South Korea and are reported to be in consideration by stadiums around the world. Wearables have been adopted for similar purposes by a U.S. fire department, while Sonde Health has developed a workplace safety tool with voice biometrics. Headline, U.S. colleges incorporate biometrics for COVID-19 monitoring. The University of Alabama and the University of Arizona are testing Bluetooth-enabled apps to monitor the virus on campus by tracking students who tested positive and their encounters, while Malloy College in New York will use kiosks with thermal scanning to take student temperatures and will use biometric facial recognition to confirm student identity and track their health. On the other side of the country, the University of California, Irvine, has developed a Wi-Fi system that keeps track of the number of students and their moves in buildings. I don't really need to go on, do I? We are headed, it would seem, to this world foreseen by John. And really just a few months ago, this was like April, May of this year this started. Just a few months ago, if you had mentioned any of this kind of technology, people would rise up and say, this is impossible, we're not going to do that, this is a huge invasion of privacy, you have no right to know what my health is. And now I would say the majority of people are on board with this. People aren't really supposed to ask you what's wrong with you. That's like a violation of several laws. But now everybody's soft on that because of COVID-19. And again, it's not about the disease. I'm not making any comment about that. It's about how it's playing out from a view of biblical prophecy. Meanwhile, I like to throw this in. Every few months, a new article is posted about Elon Musk's project Neuralink, by which he hopes to implant a chip in your brain. And no one's sure exactly what it's going to do. He is afraid of AI, and he wants to be able to have a fast interface with computers and devices so that we can take on AI, I guess. But he's not clear on what he wants it to do. The latest thing he says is it could play music in your head. Used to be if you had voices in your head, that was a bad thing. If it can play music in your head, it can play somebody's voice in your head. Can you imagine you're sleeping at night and all of a sudden Elon Musk is talking to you? What? Where's that coming from? Corpus callosum. We could return to normal as if COVID-19 never happened, or the so-called new normal may be the precursor to the dreaded mark of the beast midway through the 7-year Great Tribulation. Now, biometric technology, in fact, no technology is the mark of the beast. But it is perhaps the underlying mechanism that will be in place when the beast, the Antichrist, demands to be worshipped. There has to be some technology, we would say, of bringing the world together, and now everybody wants to be together because they want to defeat disease. We believe the resurrection and rapture of the church is imminent. It could happen at any moment. Nothing needs to happen before it, and it will happen before the tribulation. Jesus is going to come in the clouds and raise the dead believers of the church age. Then he'll transform the bodies of living believers to glorified resurrection bodies. Together we'll be caught up to heaven to be with him forever. And then the 7-year campaign of severe evangelism will break out on the earth. Are you ready for the rapture? If not, get ready and stay ready and keep looking up, because ready or not, Jesus is coming.